Hey, welcome to Honest Reviews. Today I am going to be showing you the ultimate Fuji Instax comparison for 2020. We're going to be going through these 8 cameras and 1 printer. I'll give you some specs, some prices, some colors, and kind of help you figure out the difference between all of these so you can figure out which one's right for you. Okay, so we're talking about the Instax camera line made by Fujifilm, and the Instax is instant film. So we're talking about this stuff here where you take the shot, the film pops out, you wait 90 seconds, and it develops. There are 3 types of film that Instax makes. This is the Instax Mini Film, and this is used by these 4 cameras over here. We also have Instax Wide. You can see this is much bigger than the Instax Mini. It is actually 2 times as big. Instax Wide is used by just 1 camera, this fella over on the end. And then the newest one in the family is the Instax Square. This is shot by these 3 cameras in the middle here. So different cameras shoot the different formats of film. So if there's a certain type of film that you really like, make sure you pay attention to which cameras shoot it because they can't all do all of them. One really important note before we go on is that if you click down into the description, you will find the links to check these all out, details, links to other videos. We have some videos reviewing some of these cameras in more depth and even guides on how to get the most out of them, how to shoot, tips like that, so you don't waste the film because that's expensive. Another tip before I go on just with all of these is that if you buy the camera, usually you don't get the film unless you're buying a bundle. So make sure whenever you buy any of these that you're also adding some of that film to your shopping cart. Okay, so we're definitely looking at a wide range of price points and features for these cameras. There's kind of something for everyone. The Mini 11 way down here, that's sort of the entry-level model. It's currently $59 US, so you can get into instant film at quite a reasonable price, and that goes up much higher based on features. The highest one is this LiPlay here, which is currently $129 US. So there's definitely differences between them, even though a lot of them look kind of similar. So I'm going to break it down really quickly for you. Like I said, we'll go into more detail in other videos, but let's just compare. We're going to start all the way down with the Mini 11. This is a brand new version of the very popular Mini line. There's lots and lots of versions of this along the way. This is the latest one. It is $59 US. It comes in 5 different colors. There is lilac purple. This is blush pink. There's ice white, sky blue, and charcoal gray. And this version, all of the colors are kind of like a more muted, almost pastel palette. It has this nice matte finish. You kind of have this like frosted look on the lens. This camera, for the first time in the Mini line, has auto exposure, so you no longer have to actually choose the exposure. The camera really does all the work for you. It really is point and shoot. This one has a selfie mode, so when you turn it on like that and you pull this out, now you have selfie mode activated. It's going to focus closer while you're taking selfies. You don't have to carry an extra lens like you used to. And that's going to be really handy if you're looking to do selfies with this camera, which, let's be honest, we all are. This also works for macro. So this camera definitely is making it much easier to take the shot and not fiddle too much. This uses 2 AA batteries, which are included. It comes with a wrist strap, and they also have included these little like shutter button accessories that you can stick on. I'm not a huge fan of those, but if you like to glam up your camera, those are included. Okay, so now we have the Mini 90 Neo Classic. This is still shooting that Instax Mini film. This version is sort of the instant film camera for people who like regular cameras with features. So this one is currently retailing for $119 US. It comes in 3 different colors where the like this nice little faux leather trim is. There's brown, black, and red. It is definitely, I think, the most stylish, classic, retro looking of the Instax line. Now, this one has a bunch of modes that you do not get on that Mini 11. It has auto exposure like that one, but you also can do double exposures, and that's this, where you can take 2 separate images and it overlays them on the same sheet of film, and you can get lots of really cool effects like that. So this is like a silhouette layered over some flowers, and I love double exposures. I think it's one of the funnest things to do with instant film or film in general. So I love that this camera can do that. There's also bulb mode where the shutter stays open for a longer time if you wanted to do night photography. It has macro mode, kid mode where the shutter is just faster so that hopefully you don't get any motion blur. And then there's also some flash modes on here, and most importantly, you can actually choose to turn the flash off with this camera. It's called flash suppression. That is a rare feature in the Instax line. Usually the flash goes off a lot, but in this one you can choose to keep it from firing, and if you're shooting natural light, that's going to help you preserve that natural light look. So that's a really great feature that is in this camera. It's pretty simple in terms of the actual shooting, but it does have two shutter buttons. There's one on the top here and one on the front. So if you're shooting horizontal or vertical, you have different shutter buttons. It's got an LCD screen on the back. So this is definitely a step up from the Mini 11. Okay, so in between the two of those cameras that I just talked about is the Mini 70. And this is an older model, but you can still get it on Amazon.com. It ranges a lot in price depending on what color you pick. There are a lot of colors. I'm not even gonna list them all. You can click the link and go check it out. But it goes as low as around 65 US, averaging around 88 US, but it's definitely in the price point between those two cameras, and it kind of has in-between features. So this one has the same like built-in selfie mirror, built-in like macro mode. The lens just goes out a little further to get you that focusing. But it also has a self-timer mode. So if you want to take a selfie, it has a tripod mount on the bottom, and then there is a self-timer mode on the back there. So you can actually run and get in the shot, which you can't do with the Mini 11. You've got to, just hold it out. So that's kind of nice. It doesn't have as many features as the Mini 90. You don't have that double exposure mode or the bulb mode, but you do get a few more than the Mini 11. So if you can grab this one, especially at that good price, you can get a few extra features over the Mini 11 while it's still available. Now we're going to look at the high end of the Instax Mini options, and that is the Mini LiPlay, and this is a very cool camera. It is currently retailing for $129 US, so it is definitely on the high end of the price points, but it can do a lot. Now, for starters, it comes in 3 colors. There's this black with kind of like the blush accent, and then there's a blush gold one where the whole camera is blush gold, and then there's a stone white one with kind of like a speckly look to it. They look nice. These are definitely cameras that are more sleek and sexy as far as instant film cameras go. So this camera does multiple things. It takes pictures. It has internal memory, so it's actually recording a digital image. You can add a micro SD card to have even more memory. So you choose from the pictures you take and then you print it. The other cameras, you press the shutter and it's going to take that shot onto the film and spit out the film. So if someone blinked, that's too bad because it's on that film. But this is sort of like a hybrid. So you take the shots, you can view it on the LCD on the back here, find the shot where you're not blinking, and then print it. Or you can use it as a printer and hook it up to your smartphone and just print your smartphone photos with this onto instant film. So it's a bit of both. That's why it costs more, but it's very, very, very useful. It has a bunch of stuff built into it. You can add frames and filters to your images. It has this kind of weird mode where you can record the sound that was happening while you took the photo or a message, and then it puts a QR code on the image and then you can hear it. It does work. It's weird, but it does work. And then you can take group photos. So say you've got this set up, it doesn't have a tripod mount, but you've got it on a table and you have your smartphone connected to it. You can use your phone as the remote to take the photo, so you don't have to run to get in for a timer. So that's really handy too. So basically the ability to review and select the photo that you print is going to save you a ton when it comes to film. These ones, you just take that shot and you hope you got it right. this one, you know you got it right. It loses a little bit of the magic of instant film, but you're gonna save and make sure that your shots are really turning out. So that's one of the things that's really cool about this camera. This one gets used a lot. So if you have the money to spend and you really want the best of the mini line, this is the one you wanna look at. Okay, before we go off of mini film, I will say that it is pretty fun and there's lots of variety. So you can buy all types of mini film where the borders are different. So this is like, looks like a airmail one. This is a Canadian themed one. And then this one is actually black and white film for mini. So you can get all sorts of kinds. They're always coming out with new ones. There's really cool ones where the borders are like rainbow colors, but each one is different. And when you put them all beside each other, it makes a really long rainbow. Like, it's cool. Make sure to look in the description. We'll link some of the different types of mini film. But again, these are for those cameras I just talked about. And it's a really big, fun part of the mini experience is playing and experimenting with different types of film. Now let's move on to our square shooters. We have 3 cameras that we're looking at right now. And these are all shooting that square film like I first mentioned. And this is that classic look, the original Polaroid format of the 1:1 square. This film is more expensive than the mini film, so that is something to keep in mind if you're looking to get into the square line. But it is a bit bigger. I'll show you. It's like 1.5 of the mini. So you definitely are getting a little bit more space to frame your photos, and the square format is just really, really fun to shoot in. So I really do enjoy that. Now, we've got 3 different cameras here and they're quite different. I'm actually going to start with this one in the middle. This is the brand new one. This is the SQ1. Now, this camera is currently retailing for $119 US. It comes in 3 colors. This is the Glacier Blue. There's a terracotta orange that I think is very nice looking, and also a chalk white. I love the design of this camera. It's very cool, but for me, the best way to think of this camera is kind of like it's the square version of the Mini 11. So it has auto exposure. You don't have to change your exposure modes, but you can't also manually adjust your exposure at all. You can't make it brighter or darker. It has the built-in selfie extender to the lens. So this one, you just turn it on and then you spin an extra distance and the lens goes a little bit further, and that's how you're ready for selfie or macro shots. You've got the selfie mirror on the front. It comes with the wrist strap, and it comes with this little pad that you can stick on the back that's just like a thumb grip. But that's it. It's a very, very basic camera at $119. You know, I think it's a little overpriced considering it doesn't have any extra features. This one for me is extremely point and shoot, and I like a little bit more control, so that's why I prefer the older model. But for design, this one definitely takes top marks for me. That's the SQ1. Now, the previous square model that came out before it is the SQ6. Now, this one is a little trickier to get your hands on, but it can be had for as low as $79 US. Check the links below and we'll link, and hopefully that doesn't run away that price, because these ones definitely tend to go in and out of stock more. This is not the main square camera anymore. But the SQ6 has more features. For one, there's more colors. It's a different vibe. It's more of a like classy vibe, but it comes in blue, gold, gray, red, white, and Taylor Swift Special Edition. That one's more expensive, but it's worth it, right? Okay, this one has auto exposure as well, but there's also a lot more modes on the back. And you can see all the way across here, we have a ton of different modes, including my favorite, double exposure right there. There's also a lighten and a darken. So if you take a shot and it's too dark, you can just put it onto lighten, and then you get the right exposure instead of the camera just not being able to handle the lighting. If you're a photographer, you can also get pretty good at like looking at the light and seeing whether or not you're gonna have to overexpose, say if it's backlit. I love when a camera gives me that option. So I'm always really happy when cameras have more exposure control, even with instant film. This also has flash suppression, which, as I've said, I really like as well, because I don't like using flash very much. I want that natural light look. I like to be able to turn it off, but a lot of these cameras are just going to fire that flash almost every single time. So that's just something to be aware of. Lots of other modes here, selfie, landscape, macro, there's a self timer in there. So this one has a lot more features, a lot more control for a lower price. It also comes with some like flash covers that you can pop on here where you can make the flash different colors, which is just like a really fun creative thing to do. So that's the SQ6. If you can get your hands on it and you're looking for a square camera, this is definitely my recommendation. Okay, so now I'm not doing things exactly by the book because this camera in my hand, as you can see, is the SQ10, but there is a newer model, the SQ20. I'm going to talk about the SQ20 because that's the one that's like out there and available, but I unfortunately don't own it because it wasn't a huge upgrade to the SQ10. Anyway, I'll talk about the SQ20. I'll give you the details on that. Pretend that this says 20 and not 10. Thank you. Okay, so this is another hybrid camera. If I turn it around, you can see it has a digital screen on the back. You take a shot digitally, it has built-in memory, and you can add a micro SD card for even more space. Then you review the photo and you choose to print it. It is definitely an attempt to be more of a camera than the other ones. So this one has like an ISO range of 100 to 1600. It can focus at 10 centimeters. Everything else is usually around 30 centimeters. This one can focus super close. So if you are a macro shooter, but like instant film and that's your niche, take a look at this camera. You can do double exposure. You can do bulb mode. There's like a motion mode with the SQ20 where it's taking like 15 seconds of video and then you choose the frames from that video that you want to print. So if you like to do like action stuff, you can make sure you get that like peak moment, which is pretty neat. There's also like lots of interesting like functions and modes that they've come up with this. There's like sequence filter. So it like creates motion blur effects out of multiple shots. There's like time shift collage where it's taking like a few pictures in a sequence and then creating a collage out of them. There's more collage features. There's like split screen features. Like there's a lot packed into these cameras. So it's more of a digital experience of creating an image and then you print it out on the square film. This one is currently retailing. The SQ20 is retailing for $119 US. So that's like the same price as the SQ1, which is interesting. It's a very different shooting experience, right? This is very digital with an instant print at the end. This is very like basic shoot, press the button, you've got an instant shot, don't even think about anything. So the shooting experience is very different. So I think when it comes to these two being the same price point, if that's what you're deciding between, what you really want to do is think about, how do I want to shoot? What is important to me? Is it that magic of not knowing what you're going to get? Or do you just like having that physical print, but you want to really be creative with the shot itself? So these are definitely interesting cameras. These are two shutter buttons on the front. The SQ20 looks just slightly different. It comes in black and beige. It has a selfie mirror, which this one didn't. But otherwise, this is kind of the same idea. So that is the SQ20. Definitely an interesting offering of that digital film hybrid in the line. Okay, so all the way down the line of all of the square and the mini, and we have one more camera to do, and then I'll sneak in that printer before we finish up. But this camera, this one has a special place in my heart. This is the Instax Wide 300. It is the only camera that shoots the wide film, which is the biggest film that you can get. So if you really like having like large images, this one is definitely one to look at. So the Instax Wide 300 currently retails for $89. That's pretty good. That's just a little bit more than this like base model mini. It doesn't have a ton of features. It has 2 focus zones, which is pretty standard here. There's that close-up range and then that further range. This one does not have a selfie mirror built in. I believe that there's a selfie mirror that like snaps on the front and sticks out. It's kind of weird, but this is a very large camera to try to take a selfie with. I wouldn't recommend it. It has a tripod socket on the bottom. which is nice if you're taking some landscape shots. And it has light and dark control, so you can either just make the image lighter or darker. And it has fill flash or flash on. It does not have my favorite mode, flash off. But otherwise, it's a pretty basic camera, but it takes those wide shots. And this camera has traveled around the world with us. We've taken shots all the way in Peru, shots on the street. This is a very cool camera, and I love the wide format. That's just naturally what I like to shoot, is horizontal wide. So yeah, in terms of price, it's pretty good price. It's a giant camera. It is very heavy, like compared to one of the smallest ones, which I'd say is the LiPlay. You can see that it is a massive, massive camera. Very heavy. So it's, I don't know, I like it. It doesn't have the features, but just being the only camera that shoots wide, it just has that special place in my heart for me. Final note on that, it was only in this black color for the longest time, but I just saw that there's a white version that seems to be available. It's basically all white. It looks a little strange, but it does have another color option now. Okay, so I'm gonna finish off this video with a quick word on printers. So like I mentioned with the LiPlay, it had the option to connect to your smartphone, and then you could print a photo that's on your phone with the printer, which is very cool. If you want to just have that ability and you don't care about actually taking photos, Instax has printers. So this is the Instax Share SP3SQ. So it's a square film printer. SP3 is the version, it's the latest version of it. So this will print that square film, just like that. And it prints from your smartphone. And that's basically it. But it's very, very fun. And it looks nice. It has nice design. It's $89 US. And I mean, we take photos with our smartphones all the time. This is a really easy and really fun way to make sure you're printing it. And at like a party, at a wedding, these things are fantastic because guests can print things out and go home with a photo. And yeah, they've just been a blast. So there is this square version, the SP3SQ. They also have a really cute little one that kind of looks like this. It's called the Mini Link. It prints the mini film. So if this is more your bag, it will print that mini film. It's the same price, $89. And that one's kind of neat. You can connect up to 5 smartphones with it. You can add filters and frames. So it's definitely like a fun social kind of thing. And that one comes in a ton of colors, white, gold, pink, and denim. I believe this one came in a white color. So those are definitely an option if you're more into just printing, but not actually taking photos. Okay, that was a huge comparison. Thank you so much if you're still listening. I hope that that was helpful in kind of explaining the differences between all of these. I love that there is so much variety in a sense, but at the same time, these all basically do the same thing. You're taking a pretty simple photo and you're just trying to get it printed, which is the big challenge these days. We have too many photos, not enough prints, and that's what the Instax line is always trying to make you do. Print out your photos. It doesn't matter if they're the most perfectly composed one in the world. Honestly, a imperfect photo printed to me is worth so much more than a perfect photo that never sees the light of day. So in terms of the lineup, so much of it depends on your budget, what you're looking for, what kind of film you like. For me, honestly, I think these two are my favorite. They're not the most budget-friendly ones, but if you find that you kind of are falling in love with instant film and you're, someone who has a little bit of sense of photography, I love that these two give me more control. It's not so much about having that digital option for me. It's more about being able to turn off the flash, play with different modes, get creative with it. The basic, very simple models are great as gifts. Great for people just getting into it. They don't have to fiddle with anything. They don't have to worry about the exposure. They just point and shoot. So if you're looking for gifts, the Mini 11 is just one of the best gifts you can ever get anyone. And like a stack of film, and you will just be a hero. I've done it so many times because that's a great gift. This is also very, very cool if you've got a little extra money to spend. It's a great looking camera, and the square prints are different. Everyone's been seeing the mini prints for a while, so the square prints are great. So for gifts, those two are neat if someone's not super into photography. But if they do like photography, I'd say look at the Mini 90 just for that like classic retro style. Look at the LiPlay for like lots and lots of flexibility. And then the SQ6 in terms of that square, but with a little bit more control for the photographer in your life. Important reminder, you can find the links for all of these cameras below in the description. We always try to find the best prices when we're looking for those and the ones that are like fastest shipping and all that great stuff. So we've kind of done the work for you. So check that description out, hit those links, go check it out. And I always remind people when it comes to these cameras, they don't come with film unless you buy a bundle. So make sure that you're adding that film to your cart. As soon as you start shooting, you're going to want a bunch of film because it's so exciting. And as a tip, you get to save money when you buy like the bigger value packs of film. So if you know right off the bat that you're going to be shooting a bunch, those are a good deal. Thank you so much for watching this whole video. Please do leave me a comment if you have any questions, if there's anything you want to see about these cameras. They are so fun. I love talking about them. I'm excited to share more. I'm excited to do more reviews. And if you shoot instant film, tell me which camera you're shooting. I've looked at a lot over the years, but I'm always excited to learn what other people like to use the most. Give me a thumbs up if you found this helpful, and make sure to subscribe. We have more videos coming about instant film. There's a few more on the channel if you want to dig deeper into some of these cameras, and lots of other great reviews coming your way as well. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.